World War I was a monumental event in our world's history. It was the first great war with millions of casualties, with far too many lives lost. The war began due to the race of militarization amongst nations, nationalistic feelings, imperialism, and secret alliances. After the devastation that World War I left in its wake, all major participating members, aside from Germany and Russia, worked together to achieve a common goal: the restoration of the lands and a plan to maintain peace. This stemmed from President Woodrow Wilson's 14 points and became the Treaty of Versailles. This is World War I in plain English, focusing mainly on the 14 effects.
Leading to the end of the war, the countries participated in the Treaty of Versailles, hoping to come to an agreement of what they wished to achieve. Georges Clemenceau, the Prime Minister of France, went into the conference having very specific goals and what he wished to get out of the peace agreement. France at that time felt strong animosity towards Germany and wanted to cripple them as much as possible. Wanted to make Germany pay for the damage done during the war by forcing strict reparations. He also wanted to weaken Germany so France would never be invaded again. Clemenceau said, "America is far away, protected by the ocean. Not even Napoleon himself could touch England. You're both sheltered, we are not." The treaty restricted the Germans' armed forces to a meager 100,000 men. They were not allowed to have submarines or airplanes. On top of that, only 6 battleships were allowed to be kept. The whole idea behind this crippling was to reduce Germany's armed forces to a size where they could never endanger the countries around them. France wanted to weaken them through numerous ways. They were one of the only countries that demanded Germany to be weakened economically and insisted upon extremely high reparations and payments. The final report labeled reparations to be more than 31.5 billion. It enlisted Germany to make 66 yearly payments of $500 million. The American forces arrive. If American soldiers participated in the war, it would greatly tip the military balance. By July 1918, over 1 million US troops have come to their support. Germany and full-scale revolution, as well as economic shortages, German officials only agreed to surrender, believing that Wilson's 14 points would be the basis for the outlines of negotiation to be held in Paris. As a result of this, an armistice on the Western Front was signed. What Germany actually received from negotiations was far more from what they actually imagined. First of all, they suffered immense territorial changes. Not only were they split off into countries like Poland, Austria, Hungary, were also separated into many other nations. Germany also lost a crucial piece of land, Alsace-Lorraine. The place that contained all of their coal was given back to the French and was up to them to control. Additionally to the loss of land around their original empire, they lost all of their overseas colonies, further crippling their economy. Apart from these strict implications, Germany had to carry all the war guilt. They had to sign a document taking full responsibility for the war.
In the Treaty of Versailles, Japan played a minor role as they were only interested in influence that would be on the Pacific. However, they still wished to achieve some goals from the 14 points. Japan wanted a racial equality clause to be included because they had faced discrimination in the West for quite a while, especially in America. By doing so, they wished to smoothen immigration processes of their citizens as well. However, it was opposed by Australia because they thought they would lose complete control over the immigrants going into Australia. In the end, the clause failed to earn unanimous support and was not included in the final document. In addition, they wanted recognition for their accomplishments from war. For example, Japan was successful in expanding their territory to German islands in the Pacific, thus they wanted to exemplify their wartime gains. The majority of the countries participating in the Paris Peace Conference had established a consensus before negotiating the Treaty of Versailles. Harsh punishments on Germany. After hearing of the 14 points, Clemenceau sarcastically proclaimed that the good Lord only had 10. This sarcastic comment was because France essentially wanted to accomplish one ultimate goal from the Paris Peace Conference: absolute certainty that Germany would not be able to threaten or declare war on France again. In order to achieve this, France insisted the burden of compensation upon Germany. As a result, there were heavy economic and territorial sanctions, disarmament policies, and the requirement for Germany to pay for reparations. Britain's intentions were no different from France. They did not want to be threatened by Germany's growing navy prowess. However, Lloyd George also intended to begin trading with Germany to prepare against Russia. Although there was a slight conflict with his decision and the public's opinion, because of their influence, George agreed to make Germany responsible for the loss.
The United States of America also had their goals they wished to achieve, which were greatly related to the 14 points. President Wilson believed that the points would establish political and international world order and thus prevent the happening of another world war. He gave several speeches on his vision of how he hoped that he could create a just and secure peace, not merely a new balance of power. The 14 points served as the foundation for the Versailles Peace Conference that took place 1919 in Paris. However, the Treaty of Versailles was not exactly how he'd expected, and ended up being very different from his proposal with the 14 points. Wilson's 14 points were aimed mostly towards peace, fairness, and creating a more secure atmosphere to ease tensions and prevent another large-scale war. However, his mindset was not shared by the other people participating in the peace conference. France, which had been the place of most of the fighting for World War I and was attacked by Germany, was bitter and angry and wanted to punish Germany. The treaty that ended up being created was less to do with peace and more an attempt at making Germany pay. Germany was forced to sign a war guilt clause, forced to pay reparations, limited their army, and more. It was basically very retributive. Although Wilson later on won the Nobel Peace Prize for his 14 points, the attitude in Versailles was very harsh and he felt it was overly retributive. Most Americans were also very unwilling to participate or join the League of Nations, and he was not supported and constructed wholly well. So it was eventually dismantled, and his attempts at creating the League of Nations had not been all too successful.